Wrong.
I thought you had to play the thing first.
I can't. It's pre-recorded. I'm going to insert it in.
Well, what about his
I'll
thing?
insert it in.
So you're going to insert everything? You
Yeah.
ain't going to do any of this before we get started?
I can't. I have to do it on the other way. But you may want to just give your disclaimer anyways because it won't air on Facebook.
Well, while the sheriff combs his hair, the views and opinions that I may share today are those of my own. In no way, form, or fashion do they reflect, or could they reflect, the opinions and views of the Lawrenceburg Police Department or the City of Lawrenceburg. Let's talk.
So, what'd y'all think about that meal? Maddie, you gonna tell everybody how I just rated y'all's kitchen when I come in? Cause I knew there was
I knew
food
something
coming.
was up because you knew he was bringing us lunch today
Yeah, so Paul McBride brought lunch up here for everybody.
from the Amish Smokehouse.
Really?
Smokehouse.
So, okay, Paul
That's
brought
why
something and
everybody-
I was offered nothing. Thank you.
I told you
Some
you
of the
could eat
best
with
cooking
us.
in Lawrence County, Tennessee.
I told you
and-
you could eat with us.
You did.
Paul
You did.
is one of my new clients. He is a great man, and he brought us lunch today, and we fed a lot of people with that lunch. But John calls, which I knew y'all were coming at 12. And then I was thinking, well, maybe I should call John and ask if he wants to eat lunch. But then I was thinking it was too late because I sat down at 11:45 to eat. And you
Anyway.
usually eat lunch before then.
That's the reason why we were all in picking our teeth, you know.
Well, if I knew it was
When we
Paul
come in
food,
here and
I've
sit
been
down.
picking my teeth.
He
too.
brought
Okay.
brisket, chicken,
Ribs.
pork, and ribs.
Oh my gosh.
And all the sides, sauces, bread.
Smelled amazing.
Oh, it's so good.
When are we gonna get back on a routine? When are we gonna come in here like we used to before the holidays at 4:30 and get a plan and have some data and some bullet points and some stuff to talk about, and even a special guest to come in here and sit down? When are we gonna get back in that groove?
I think mainly that's been Maddie's fault.
I have been here every time. He's the one that hasn't been here.
I think you had like allergies or something the last time, and
We can go ahead and say it. I had the COVID the week before Christmas, and then I had the flu the week after Christmas.
how do you feel now?
I feel better,
Okay.
but I cough some.
Well,
But it's okay.
we need to get back on a normal routine.
Yeah, we gotta get back on a routine.
But he has obligations tonight. That's not my fault. I was going to be here tonight.
So not next week, but the week after.
Okay.
4:30 here. We're gonna have a guest lined up to come in.
Do you already have
Sit
that
down.
guest picked out?
No, but we're going to figure one
He'll
out.
pick that guest out about Wednesday at 1 p.m.
We're going to figure one out, and we're going to be back to our same old instead of just fly by the seat of our pants.
No doubt.
He never watched our show, by the way. I just want you to
Well, that's
know.
awesome.
I watched 75%.
Had several people tell me that they enjoyed it. It was a lot of useful information. Some was like, good gosh, I knew you could talk that much, but I just seen proof. But anyway, it was a good day. But hey, talking about something, I don't mean to interrupt you. Shopping with the sheriff. I seen it on the front page, but I haven't got to talk to you about it in person. It looked like it was a big success.
I've missed it 2 years in a row.
How'd it go?
It was bigger and better.
Charlotte filled in for me, and she did so good.
It was bigger and better than what it's been. And we had enough money to take more kids, and
What about the kid with the fishing pole?
Awesome.
it was everything was more, everything was bigger, and it was a good time. And we couldn't have done it without all the donations and everybody volunteering to help, and Walmart and McDonald's and everybody that made it happen. But it was really good.
Ballpark, how much did we raise? When I say we, y'all.
About right at 10,000.
Man, that's amazing.
He could have raised more, but Jackie started sweating.
I got shut down. Because we were getting too much, more than what they was prepared for.
Okay.
I don't guess you can get too much, but they had a dollar amount in their mind that they wanted to get to, and we surpassed that by several thousand.
Well, good.
So it all worked out good, and it was a good time. All the kids enjoyed it, and the mamas and daddies enjoyed it, and everybody enjoyed it.
You know, something like that, it's easy. Well, I say it's easy. It's not surprising when you hear we had a number, and man, not only did we meet it, but we exceeded it. You know, that's a good thing, but at the same time, the volunteers and the persons involved with it. It's easy to become overwhelmed.
Thus the reason for the green and red hair that I was supporting that night. That was the $1,000. That was the $1,000 challenge today on the radio.
Gotcha.
That's what that was for. And I'm not meaning this to be ugly, but my green and red hair, it didn't stick out much at Walmart.
That Walmart is Walmart has almost become a world of its own.
But in those videos, all the kids were smiling and they were happy, and they're going to carry that memory with them for years and years and years.
That's one of the best parts of it.
So we was on a call a couple weeks ago, and I'm not going to mention no names or no addresses, but there was a young man that was there. And we had a situation that we had to deal with, and we dealt with it. Had a good outcome. And then once he realized that, as far as the business aspect of the call was over, I mean, his eyes just light up. He was like, "Hey, do you know the sheriff?" And I was like, "Well, yes, sir, I do." He's like, "I get to go shopping with him." He said, "Can you believe that?" He said, "The school reached out to my mama and said that I was one of the lucky ones that got picked."
So that was before?
That was before the shop one. That this was probably, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks before Christmas.
Yeah.
And I mean, he was beside himself.
That's good. That's good stuff.
I mean, beside himself.
That's good stuff. See them kids out there getting to go nuts with a $450 gift card and a shopping buggy and a deputy. They do, man. They go nuts. It's fun stuff.
And,
what'd you do Christmas? You worked? You're off.
I did not. So luckily, it failed this year that I didn't have to work on Christmas. Christmas Eve, I did take off. Letters to Santa. Santa called us the other day and said that was a big hit. Big hit. Got several letters. And then
Somebody called me about that, and I'm trying to remember who it was, wanting to know if we were doing that, and I told them no, it was y'all that was doing it, and they were singing y'all's praises on that.
well, good.
That was a good idea too.
Hey, listen, it was great. I'm talking great. Santa's a busy guy, and it takes time to handwrite. When I say a boatload of letters, it was a boatload, and Santa tried to make it personal. If there was certain things that was asked for, and Santa made sure that some of them good little boys and girls.
So everybody that watches this later is going to want to know why you in a tie and a suit. And I've even got on a collared shirt.
So yeah, unfortunately,
I've got an excuse. What's yours?
my excuse is it's court time in Lawrence County, Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
And the docket was not the smallest in the world today. I stopped. I think I had, I don't know, 5 or 6 on the docket, just myself.
So was you on the 9 o'clock docket and the 1 o'clock
I'm on
docket, or they
both.
just they're going to push everything back?
I'm on both dockets. I'm not eating lunch right now, just so
You need to take some of that food to go.
I plan to. Trust me.
Yeah, you
after
need
you've
it. You
done.
need it in
I
court.
had
We
it.
won't say nothing about it.
But
Normally
yeah,
we got a pretty strict policy on that, but we'll let you slide.
yeah. It's court. I like to. Slacks and a shirt feels a lot better than that gun belt. So since I'm not technically on duty today, I'd rather relax a little bit if I have to be obligated to a courtroom for 9 hours today. So
I got you.
so yeah, we're
Well, I've got a little meet and greet I got to be at when this thing's over with. That's normally I'm in a t-shirt and ball
Same.
cap and all that good stuff. So let's talk about 2023. Year in 2023. What sticks out the most, Blake, Captain?
I
About
got shot.
2023.
I got shot at.
You got shot at.
Yeah.
Well, that's I can
And
see
then,
why.
At least you can laugh about it.
Yes,
You're here to laugh about it.
Thank the Lord, everybody, including that individual, got to go home safely that day, especially with his guiding hand and the expertise of your SWAT team. So yeah, that sticks out in my mind. What's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Heck, man, I don't know. It's 2023 for me was a whirlwind. I mean, the whole year I felt like I was just running in circles, and I can't tell you when it started. But it seems to me like it was maybe around April or May or something that I don't know. It just seemed like I had somewhere to go. I had something to do. I had a place to be. We always had something going on. My phone never quit ringing.
Trucks on
Yeah.
fire, driving themselves.
Yeah, it was like a roller coaster ride. You know, it smoothed out back right before the holidays, and we had a decent little break from the summer. You know how the call volume always is in the summertime. But we got a nice little break. Probably me falling and hurting myself. My favorite week of the year probably sticks out more than anything.
Was that what you was laughing at so much the other day, Maddie?
No.
Oh.
No.
I thought you, okay. Anyway.
That was serious. He had to go to the hospital for that.
I'm okay.
I actually felt bad for him.
So if you go to the hospital, it's serious?
It's serious.
If you go to the hospital, that's serious business. You don't laugh about that.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I drove myself, but the whole thing could have been avoided if I would have done a couple of things different.
Maybe slow
Hindsight's
down.
2020, you know. And I'm not the I'm not the young whippersnapper that I used to be neither. But I'm still in pretty good shape.
You are.
But it screwed up the whole week because that's my favorite week of the year. That's the week when you got family and friends. It's Thanksgiving, it's food and staying up late and sleeping in late and hunting and all that good stuff. And I didn't get to do any of it. I had to lay around and eat ibuprofen for the whole week. And it just messed up everything else. But anyway, Christmas was good. We got through Christmas for the most part. I worked New Year's Eve. I don't know if everybody saw the little video that I put on social media.
Oh, I can say
New Year's Eve. I always work New Year's Eve, and I've been doing that for, I don't know, the past 7-8 years. I guess it's kind of like a tradition now. I don't know. While everybody's out doing their thing, I'll put on a gun belt and vest, and I'll go out and I'll work. But it was domestic. We went the whole majority of the first part of the night, and it was quiet. Wasn't nothing going on. Just little stuff, you know. And then we got a call of somebody had somebody at gunpoint on their property in the Summertown area. So I was sitting on 43 watching traffic, and I went on up there because there was another deputy up there and there was a constable up there. So I headed up that way, and I almost waited. I almost said, hang on a minute, let me just kind of stay in the center up here on the north end because something else will probably pop up. So I drove all the way up to Caldwell Road in Summertown to that call, and right when I pulled up, they gave another domestic on Granddaddy. They gave another domestic on off Quail Drive, and they gave another unwanted person in Etheridge.
goodness.
All within like 5 minutes apart. So
And what time of night is this?
I don't know, it wasn't that late. It was probably 8 or 9 o'clock. So we just kind of had to disperse off from where we was, and I headed out to the domestic off of Pond Circle,
Pond Drive.
Pond
It's off
Drive
of-
or
it's
something.
off- yeah.
Yeah, out that way to back up another deputy that was getting there ahead of me. And our south deputy went to the call on Granddaddy, and another deputy that was up there on the Summertown call went down there. And then we had to have we had to have the city answer the call in Etheridge. And I don't know what they did with that. We wound up making an arrest on the call off of Quail Drive. And then after that, it's like they turned the hose off, and there wasn't nothing for, I don't know, I think till after midnight maybe. And then you could see, I was sitting at a four-way, and when 2024 rolled in, and then 15 minutes later, you could see all the traffic.
Yeah, it's like, okay,
Traffic everywhere.
we hit it, let's go home.
Traffic everywhere. But I don't think we had any incidents. I think most people were responsible enough to have a sober driver. We had one call after midnight, and it was a family dispute, and alcohol was the major factor in it, you know. But for the most part, it was pretty quiet. We didn't have any wrecks. We didn't have any calls on any drunk drivers or anything. But
You know, for 2024, yeah, you're talking about how domestics, just bam all at once, like somebody turned a hose on. I'm not real big on, New Year's predictions or, things that I want to do better on, so on and so forth. But I wish people in general would just start treating people nicer. The domestics, and you can agree with me on this, our domestics have just been crazy. 20 years ago when I first started paying attention to how many calls, were coming in and what they are and what produced from them calls, I can't remember the domestics being this many.
But there wasn't. There was maybe 2 or 3, 4 or 5 a week.
That's it.
Now there's 2 or 3, 4 or 5 a day.
Right.
And I contribute that to 2 or 3 things. Number one, I contribute to phones, social media, and telephones.
Social media, Snapchat.
That's the number.
All of it.
That's the number one. And number two, it's acceptable now to be abusive. It's acceptable now to be verbally abusive. It's acceptable to be mean and disrespectful. That's just the kind of times we live in, and I don't know the answer. I think people need to turn their phones off and maybe go to church more and read their Bible more. And I don't know.
It's crazy.
Turn off the news and turn off one of those violent movies you're watching.
Put on some Golden Girls.
Put it on Three's Company and Andy Griffith or something,
So if I'm reading this right, in 23 days, the city had 28 domestics.
Well, I got those numbers right here too. So
and
19 and 12. So we had 31.
Y'all had 31.
31 verbal and that's both of them.
And that's not to even include, like you said, unwanted persons who, that's the way it comes out sometimes. And then when we get there, we're like, this is not an unwanted person. This is a full-fledged domestic. And by the way, they forgot to tell the dispatcher that somebody had a beer bottle thrown at their head, and then that takes it off to a whole nother level. So I wish people would just breathe a little bit. The hustle and bustle, like you said, it seemed like it just around April or May, somebody turned the light switch on, somebody flipped a key, somebody did something, and it just was steady busy the entire summer. And then when we have, the stuff like the wildfires and all that stuff to go on top of it, it is absolutely crazy. And this year I was actually telling somebody the hustle and bustle of Christmas it's kind of annoying, but at the same time it really didn't seem any different than how I've been living, it seemed like the past 6 months. So slow down. Love your neighbor and just slow down a little bit.
What do you got planned for 24? What's your plans for 24? Work and anything big on you?
So this fall my little boy starts kindergarten. So that's big, and with that hopefully will come Tiger Scouts and so on and so forth. My little girl will
Get ready, it's about to be busy
right.
once they start school.
So he goes to preschool. And they do a fantastic job, and he loves, going and seeing his little friends. So that's going to be, I'm really looking forward to that. On a professional level, I think I'm going to try to become more educated. There's a lot of updates in law, court cases, and so on and so forth, that we can become lax and not stay up on. I think that's something I need to do more on, and get out in the public and be more personal.
More educated. Did you hear that?
Yep.
He's going to become more educated.
Why are you smirking, Brady?
Same reason I am.
Why are you smirking? I mean that's a goal.
Yeah.
That's a goal. I hope I get there.
I am going to, I've got a couple of things on my to-do list. There's one thing at the sheriff's office I want to see done this year. I had a meeting yesterday about it and kind of put it in the guys' the guy's mind on what I'm thinking. You know, when we took office in 2018, I don't know if anybody remembers how the inside of the sheriff's office looked, but it was about as depressing and an eyesore as you can imagine. Just old dirty yellow tile. The drop ceilings were all nasty. The walls hadn't been painted in years. There was water damage in three of the offices downstairs, mine included. And so we had some money that was that come from the Fed, from, I don't know if it was infrastructure money or what it was, but anyway, we were able to use that and do a remodel downstairs, laid floor all the way through it, painted the walls, fixed the ceilings, redone a whole room in the back, got some new office furniture and stuff, and one of the things that I wanted to change from day one was when you walked in the front doors down there. You know, not everybody that comes through those front doors is an inmate or a bad person. There's a lot of good people that come down there for legitimate business, getting copies of reports or needing some help with something. So we made some changes down there and gave it a more patriotic feel. Got some flags and got the U.S. Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and some other documents and hung on the wall, and really cleaned it up. So we got the interior looking pretty good, and we're not done. But the outside, when you pull up to the sheriff's office, it looks just like it did in 1992 when I started there.
Right.
It looks terrible. I mean, it looks terrible. So anyway, I've got some people that's going to take a look at it. You know, that courthouse was built in 74.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still got that 74 look to it, you know?
Right.
Which, I mean, you can argue that it's old and outdated. I don't know if it is or not. I think it's a cool old building. But the balcony, where I would love to spend a lot of time at if the weather's okay, has got about a 3 or 4 inch sag all the way across. The steel girders, it's obvious that they're starting to come loose a little bit, and you can see the steel from downstairs sticking through the concrete.
I think I know what you're talking about.
So I don't think it's all that structurally sound anyway. But I've got some professionals that's going to come and they're going to look at it and see. But I want a facelift. I want to do a facelift on the front of that sheriff's office sometime this year, and make it look a little bit better and a little bit more appealing when people pull up. You know, they did all that work 3 years ago, I think, when they took out the water fountain. Remember the water fountain in the front?
Yeah, and they put the parking lot
And
there.
they put the parking lot there,
Mhm.
you know, and that improved it some. But there's a lot of little things they can do to make it look a little bit better. But I'm not concerned with that. I'm concerned with the area around our office, just to make it look a little bit better. So that's one of the things I've got on my agenda that I want.
You think you can get that done this year?
I've learned that you got to be patient when you're dealing with county government, because I'm a now guy. I like things now,
Right.
but that ain't how it works with county government.
No.
So you kind of gotta pace yourself, and you can't get frustrated when it takes a little longer than what you want. But I don't think that's unrealistic. I think we can probably get that done this year. I hope we can anyway. And then just a few changes in some of the vendors that we have in the jail. I'm all about change. You know, I think when you stick with one thing for too long, it doesn't look good, and you just need to change it up. You need to give other people and other things opportunities to come in there. So anyway,
Competition is healthy.
sure it is.
Oh, yeah.
And you're obligated when you're spending taxpayer dollars to get the best bang for your buck. I mean,
Absolutely.
You're obligated to do that. So I think it's this year, and it might be 2025, but our contract's coming up on some stuff back there. So we're going to put that out to bid, and we're going to try to make sure that, number one, we're getting a bang for our buck on our taxpayer dollar, and number two, we're getting the best service we can get. I was ignorant when it come to the jail when I Because I worked in the jail. I think I'm probably the only sheriff in the last 50 years that started in the jail that wound up being sheriff. But the old jail and the new jail is day and night.
Day and night.
And so you gotta keep things organized. TCI, I know people think I sound like a broken record when I'm bringing up TCI, Tennessee Correctional Institute, but they make all the rules in the jail and you gotta follow them. But I'm all about getting the best service we can get for the money, so we're probably going to be making some changes back there pretty soon too. But that's the two big ones, and I don't look past a year anymore. I'm not wishing time away anymore neither, but I'm for sure not looking past. I've got a couple of long-term goals I want to try to get done this year, but other than that, it's just business as usual.
And again, I can't speak for the city or for the police department, but I would like to, I'd like to myself, not just myself, but I'd like to see more of an improvement on law enforcement and young people. Again, y'all did a fabulous job with Shop with the Sheriff, but, and that, how long would each kid spend? Hour and a half? Hour shopping?
Probably, yeah. It depends on the kid. Some kids was in and out of there in 30 minutes, and some was a little bit pickier with
a little bit pickier. And that hour that y'all spent with them, they're going to remember that for the rest of their lives. I would like to see us as a law enforcement community be more engaged, maybe on a slightly more routine basis with our younger generation, especially those that are in school, because just like we've said on here before, when I'm asked a lot of the times, what's some of the biggest problems y'all face on a day-to-day routine at work, and it's young people. Social media, again, that could be a topic where we could spend 2 hours talking on. Social media has hurt our younger generation. But I would like to personally see law enforcement be more engaged, and it doesn't even have to be anything structured like a monthly meeting, like how the city used to have the Explorer group, not the reserves, but the Explorers, for the young people to come see how we do. I'm not even talking like that. I'm talking about, maybe go to some recreational baseball games and just be saying, go around, give some high fives. Same thing at football games or basketball games, because it seems like the gap between our young people and our law enforcement is just getting further and further apart. In the first 10 or 15 words out of a teenager's mouth these days, sir, thank you, or please is nowhere heard in that sentence. And I'm not saying that we're operating on a different level of respect that anybody else should be, but I think if there's an interaction there, more communication with our young people. So that's something I would like to see 2024.
That's an investment for down the road. If you can catch them early and turn them around. I'm telling you, it's the times we live in. And there's not a lot of interest for stuff anymore other than the phone or the TV.
Mm-hmm.
And I get frustrated. We offer some programs through the sheriff's office. We have the Citizens Academy. I wish we had a bigger turnout for that, but we average 8-10 people.
How many citizen academies do y'all do a year?
One.
Just one? Okay.
Yeah, we just do one. I think it's 12 weeks. It's a great thing, but we just don't have a lot of people that are interested in it. And I get it, everybody works. You got to work. If you can't work, you can't make a living. You can't make a living, you can't survive. But still, it'd be nice if we had a better turnout, And we also did that constitutional carry class when that law passed, giving people an option to come out and go through a little gun safety and some marksmanship training, and then get up to school on how that law reads and what you can and can't do. And I think the biggest turnout we've had for that is maybe 4 or 5. I wish we had more people involved. We're doing everything we can do to put it out there. it's, people are just, they're busy and there's not a lot of interest, especially from the younger people.
Well, and I would agree. The interest is not there, but going from young people to our, I would say, middle-aged adults, especially our older adults, I'd like to say thank you to the public. The support when you have so many other places in the United States that are defunding the police or attempting to in that fashion. I have heard thank you, and I have heard I appreciate what you do more in the past 2 years than I probably have in the past 20.
Mm-hmm.
I got really nervous whenever all the defund was popping up on the TV because, whether you want to admit it, everything up north, one way or the other, it trickles down south, and I'm like, how's this going to affect us? But our community, and you said it best a month or two ago. Lawrence County is one of the best communities out there, except whenever it comes to backing and supporting law
Well,
enforcement.
it's small town USA. People in small town USA, we look at things a little bit different.
Yep.
Didn't
Jason Aldean put a song out about that kind of? And
something like
got a
that.
little.
Oh no, I don't remember. I never heard of it.
A couple views.
Try
I'm
that.
just kidding.
Yeah.
Had a couple views. Just a couple.
Just a couple.
Well, I mean, it's true. I mean, you look at our area compared to a metropolitan area in the state. It's day and night.
Yes.
I mean, I went to downtown Nashville 2 years ago. It was the Indy race. The Music City
Right.
500 or
Mhm.
whatever it was. And that's the first time I'd been in downtown Nashville. That was the middle of the day, but still, first time I'd been in downtown Nashville walking around in 20 years probably. Totally different.
Oh yes.
Totally different. The whole atmosphere isn't like the old Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if there's any old honky tonks up there anymore. I don't know. I haven't been up there, but I got so frustrated. And I'm gonna get on a little bit of a soapbox here, but Nashville Metro, would park and they would block a street, right? So there wouldn't be any traffic coming up through there. I would assume if you're going to put two officers there in two vehicles that they would be maybe doing some crime prevention techniques, maybe,
Mm-hmm.
or at least policing the area. They were either on their phone or they had a vape in their hand, or both. And I remember there was one corner we were walking up the sidewalk to get to another area of the track, and there was a guy that was obviously mentally out there, just yelling profanities. I mean, saying some of the ugliest stuff that you could hear. And what he was doing is he was causing the foot traffic to go all the way around him because nobody wanted to be. And I mean, I wasn't there with any kids, but there was families there and guys with their girlfriends and stuff. Nobody wanted to even go on that side of the street for the whole block. This dude had the whole block over there by himself, and nobody was saying anything. Nobody said anything to him. Nobody did anything to him, And it's frustrating, and you really can't blame them. You really can't blame them. I said I wouldn't work in Metro for $250,000 a year.
It's crazy up there.
Not on patrol.
Crazy.
Maybe a crime scene investigator, or maybe an accident reconstructionist or something like that. But it wouldn't be patrol. You couldn't pay me enough money to go up there. Because I tell my guys this all the time, that you're one call away from an indictment. You're one call away from getting indicted and going to prison if you make the wrong decision.
Yep.
Up there, it's 10 times quicker to get jammed up. If you don't know what that term means, that's a police term.
I know.
Jammed up. Okay.
I got it. I've hung out around y'all long enough. I'm catching up
You
on.
kind of look confused there for a minute. That's why he was
Jammed
quick
up.
to-
Well, I don't know why he called me out like that.
Because you look confused.
Okay,
Well,
whatever.
well,
Anyways, go ahead.
You're not law enforcement.
Right.
That's
Anyways,
the
go
reason,
ahead.
That's the reason why I stopped for just a minute. But yeah, you're 10 times more likely to get jammed up there than we are here in our little town. And that's the difference between our job and all the other public service jobs, is because we make 10 snap decisions every day.
Yep.
We get one wrong, we'll go to prison or worse.
Or worse. Yeah, we'll go to prison and lose everything we own.
So it's hard to blame those guys because, I mean, if they go over there and they have to wind up fighting this guy, or they have to take him down and you throw him to the ground, he busts his head open, he goes into a coma, and he dies or something, and you're jammed up. You're jammed up, and you're going to lose everything that you got. And it's really hard to blame them. But I couldn't work like that. I couldn't go up there and say, yeah, put me on patrol. I'll, because I'm a proactive guy.
Right.
They're reactive. They don't practice crime prevention. They wait around on a call to happen, and they'll go take a report. And I can't stand that. I can't stand that. But I'm not up there. I wouldn't be up there. I mean, anyway, I'll get off my soapbox.
Well, no, I mean, you hit it right on the head. You know, there are times, and several times at that, like you said, we have to make an instant call, an instant judgment call on something that some attorneys who may not have the same point of views as law enforcement will spend the next 4 or 5 months looking at, picking to pieces, and then trying to persuade a district attorney general that officer not only made a mistake, but trying to convince that district attorney general that not only did he make a mistake, but it was likely intentional. When just as well as I do, the majority of our guys and girls out there that wear the badge, nobody wants to purposely hurt anybody. Nobody wants to purposely violate the rights of anybody. We just want to get paid to go home. And at the same time, try to keep people safe.
And you don't get paid enough. I mean, I know that you're not going to agree with me, but you do not get paid enough for the jobs that you do.
Well, thank you.
You're welcome.
That means a lot.
I saw one of the funniest body camera videos yesterday. So, I mean, most people know.
Was it my traffic stop?
No, this
where
is
the guy ran handcuffed behind the back. Oh, you got to watch that.
No. We'll talk about that in a minute. We had one of them happen too. We had a guy take off from one of the deputies that was handcuffed in front, and he was complaining he had to go to the bathroom. So they said, well, I mean, don't go in your pants, step over on the other side of the car and go. And he said he was gone. Well, he didn't go far. He got captured. But and I think we might have been assisting y'all on a call, because I'm thinking it was at a hotel here in town where they arrested this woman. I don't know who she was. I've never seen her before. She was obviously under the influence of something. And she would go from cussing every breath to singing George Jones.
To singing George Jones?
She was going from, it was hands down one of the funny, I'll randomly go in and I'll pull up our body cameras and I'll just pick like 2 or 3, just to see how we're conducting our business. But one of the other deputies in the command staff had already had it pulled up. When I walked by the door, he said, "Sheriff, come here. You gotta watch this. This is pretty funny." But anyway, they pull in the Sally Port with her, and the deputy goes over, and when he opens the door, she falls out of the back seat.
Oh, mercy.
And it was so funny because it was so scripted. You could tell that she was thinking about doing this before. Right. So when she falls out, she hits the ground. And then she starts screaming that she needs an ambulance. Well, the deputy, he walks in, he done a great job. I mean, he was really calm, and he walks over there. Well, he can't shut the door now because she's sitting up between the door and the vehicle, and he can't close it. So he says, "Ma'am, I can't shut the door. You got to move over." And she's screaming all kinds of profanities and saying she needs an ambulance. Well, he just takes her, and you can see it as plain as day on that body camera footage. He just takes his hand and he just kind of nudges her just a little bit where he can shut the door. Well, she piles up again in the floor and starts screaming again. Well, then he gets her up, and that's when she starts singing George Jones all the way to the booking room door.
Was it Still Doing Time by Jones, or He Stopped Loving Her Today?
Maybe Wine Colored Roses. I don't know which one it was, but holy smokes, that was funny.
Yeah, so we had a traffic stop the other day. And had an individual that was, just setting off flags, perking my interest. And long story short, he ended up cuffed behind the back. And for whatever rhyme or reason, he thought it would be a great time to stretch his legs and go for a jog. Well, no, I say a sprint because he was moving kind of quickly, and he started running. Well, then he started losing his balance, and because the good Lord did not create man to be able to functionally run while
Handcuff behind your
subdued
back.
behind the back, should we say? And he did. He started to lose his balance.
Did he eat it?
Listen, I don't know why he thought that this technique would work, but he knew, maybe he was the first to know that he was fixing to go down. And I'm talking eat concrete. And in a last ditch effort, he threw his body up into the air like Flipper, the dolphin. And when he did land on the concrete, he came down pretty hard. And
But he didn't skin his forehead. Though.
right. Didn't really skin him up that bad. And it's amazing. Besides stop resisting. One of the first questions that was out of our mouths, both my guys and your guys, was something along the lines of, "Why'd you do this? What made you think that it was a good idea," or something along that line?
They don't think like we do. Criminals don't think like we do. Number one, number two. If they're under the influence or they're impaired, they're sure not thinking straight. I remember one time I arrested. Lord of mercy, this was years. I was a deputy, so it was in the mid-90s. And I arrested this guy. You remember the old booking room?
Oh yes.
Before the new jail got built.
Yep.
It wasn't the most secure room.
I can still remember how that white door was it even fiberglass? It wasn't wood. It was like plastic. But I can still remember the sound.
Well, it kept getting broke because you'd have to fight a guy to get him in there, and he would kick the door. And anyway, he was still handcuffed. He was handcuffed sitting in the chair, and I had to step out to get a copy or something. I can't remember what. I was gone maybe 20 seconds. Come back in, he was gone. Door standing wide open. Well,
that's an empty feeling. If you've not ever been in law enforcement,
if you've never lost that, but are you really a cop if you've never lost a criminal at least one time?
You do this, that's going to happen. So anyway, I run out the door and I look to my left and I don't see him in front of the courthouse. So I know he had to went right. I don't see him.
Because the new jail is not there at this time.
No, it's not. It's just a rear parking lot. So I take off around the back. And as I'm coming around, and then he made some good ground. No longer than he was gone. I mean, he made some good ground. But I come around the back of the courthouse and I looked, and he was going across the road, headed towards the fire department. And man, I got another gear. I found that I was in my mid-20s and I could fly.
Right.
And I was on him, and I caught him over there beside the church.
Okay.
The church.
And
yeah,
fire
beside the fire. Yeah, that's where I caught him at. And he was gassed out, man, when I got him.
I'm sure.
And I said, "What are you doing? Why did you think you could get away?" He said, "If you give me another minute and a half," he said, "you never caught me."
Right. Yeah, some people lose their cell phone when you're a police officer and you've just discovered that you've lost a prisoner. That is a sick feeling. And then you're like, where's he at? Let's go get him.
And I'm sure the statute of limitations has ran out on this years ago, but I remember working out there on the interstate, and I'd be out there by myself. I wouldn't have any backup, and I'd be searching a car, and I had a push bar on the front of that Ford Interceptor. I'd cuff him in front of that push bar.
That's 1990 safety first right there.
You can't get away with that stuff now, but
oh mercy, you'd be on CNN.
That was when I refer to my heyday in law enforcement. That's when it was when I worked the interstate for the task force, and we had so many close calls out there. So I think about it now, how dangerous that job was back then, because we were looking for couriers, we were looking for money and large amounts of drugs, and it was dangerous. But man, I'm telling you what, that was my heyday.
Oh, it was a blast.
That's when I had the most fun in law enforcement. But I was thinking about some of the close calls I had out there, and it was luck, and it was training, and there was a lot of things that kept me from getting hurt. Most of it was training and being able to spot or sniff out something before it happened. And you had to really know, you had to have your game too. You had to know how to talk to people.
See, Maddie, he talked about training. Like, being an interdiction officer, and this doesn't say anything to our guys that's been on patrol for a long time, but being a interdiction officer specialized in the detection of criminal travel, we are educated more than the average patrolman. And see, that's why one of my resolutions is to be more educated, because not only is a more educated officer a better servant to the public, a more educated and better trained officer is more likely to go home safely at the end of the night. So, when's it, what'd you say, 96? 96 is when you started?
No, I started in 97. I worked the interstate from 97 to 02. And then I had a break in service. Then I came back and worked it for a little while longer, and then I was done. But that 5-year period from 97 to 02, that was my glory days. That was so much fun. And I mean, we intercepted a lot of drugs, a lot of money, a lot of criminals, a lot of crime. One of the most memorable cases wasn't even a drug case. And I use this when I'm talking to some of the younger guys about indicators. I had two guys in a pickup truck coming from Indiana or Illinois, somewhere headed south, and I was getting the same indicators that I would get if they had a load of dope in the vehicle or something. Anyway, I wound up searching the vehicle with consent, and I found a box of Polaroids behind this seat, and it was Polaroids of this guy and some kids at this RV mobile home lot in Illinois or Indiana, wherever he was from. And it was obvious what he was doing. I mean, he was a sexual predator. So I can remember looking at those pictures, and I could feel my blood pressure I could feel it going up. I could feel my ears getting red. And I'll admit it. I'll admit it right now. I was having visions of what I would like to do to this guy right there on the side of the interstate, because I was seeing exactly what he was doing to these kids, and he was taking pictures of them. And I remember I called my partner that was working out there with me, and I called him on the radio, and I said, I need you down here on this stop, 1033. And he said, I'm on my way. What you got? And I said, I just need you here at ASAP. And I waited on him to get there before I went back and put him under arrest, because I was afraid of what I was going to do if he did anything.
Right.
I was already visualizing. I was already imagining what I was going to do to this guy. But anyway, I let him get there, and we just made the arrest. We charged him, I forget with how many counts of sexual exploitation of a minor. And we were able to get a hold of the authorities in the small town that he was living in up there at that RV park and talk to an investigator, and she had been after this guy for a while, and she never could get the proof she needed. And so they drove down. We released all the pictures to them because they was Polaroids. I mean, This was before cell phones and all that. And they wound up getting the evidence they needed to charge him with all the stuff that he was doing to the kids in the pictures. And he went to prison forever. I mean, he went to prison forever.
That's where.
But that was one of the most satisfying stops out there on the interstate. Wasn't a load of dope, wasn't a big seizure, wasn't a big cash seizure. It was an old sexual predator that'd been doing it and getting away with it for years and years and years, and we popped him, and hopefully he died in prison.
That's something I think the community is becoming more aware of, is that you see certain cops out here just stopping cars. They've learned we're not just looking for dope, we're looking for criminals. And you can be a criminal and never taken a drug in your life, and how rewarding is that to see them criminal indicators from a child pedophile. And you know what I'm talking about. We don't have to go into any type of articulation. The child pedophile who has material in their vehicle or on their person that they know can send them to prison will give off the same indicators, the same body language, a lot of the same statements that are made, just like our guys, hauling 15, 20 kilos of dope. It's, I mean,
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether if it's a criminal violation or what. I'll give you another example. I had two same scenario. Stopped them for a traffic violation. A couple of guys in a vehicle. I can't remember where they were from. Got up there. 30 seconds into the stop, I knew something was going on. I mean, you could see it. You could hear it. You could smell it. You knew something was going on. Got the driver out. Did a roadside interview with him. Talked to the passenger. The stories were off, but they weren't way off. But the passenger just as nervous as the driver. All the indicators is there, and I'm thinking but they don't look like criminals. Long story short, they reluctantly gave me consent to search the vehicle. But they gave me consent to search the vehicle. Come to find out that they were both gay and both married, and they were on a little honeymoon with each other that their wives didn't know about, and that's what they were nervous about. They thought that they were going to get found out.
and
But it was
still-
the same indicators.
Still guilty indicators.
Same indicators.
guilty indicators,
I
yeah.
remember searching that vehicle thinking, I don't have a clue what I'm about to find.
But I'm about to find it.
I'm going to
Right.
find something. I did. Found some stuff in some luggage that I wished I wouldn't have found, but anyway. But yeah, it's the same. It's the same thing, I remember I had a stop out there one time, and a guy comes by. I mean, just has indicators all over his truck when he goes by, and so I pull out on him. Well, he takes the off ramp, and then when he gets at the bottom of the off ramp, he shoots across the intersection, gets on the on ramp, and starts headed south on the interstate. So I'm in a pursuit now. And I radio the guy out there with me. I said, I got one running from me. We're southbound at the 14. So I run this guy all the way in. You remember Doc? I don't know. You don't remember Doc Oliver. Doc Oliver
Yes,
was
I mean,
the chief.
and he
the chief
retired
in
as the
Ardmore.
chief in Ardmore. He was the sheriff of Giles County for a long time.
Guy could drive the heck out of an interceptor. So he gets off at the 6 in Elkton. Now we're on 31 headed south towards Ardmore, and I've radioed Giles County, and I'm telling them I've got one running from me. This is the tag, blah, blah, blah. So we meet Doc Oliver. Doc Oliver had to have been doing 150.
Was he shooting a shotgun at the window?
I mean, we met him, and I was probably doing 80 or 90. And I mean, it was just a, and I looked in my rearview mirror, and the front end of that interceptor was nose down with blue smoke pouring off the tires, and he swung it. He swung it in the middle of the road, and he caught us before we got to the state line. Well, we go all the way down to the Rocket, and the guy takes the first exit past the Rocket, and I spin out. I go through the intersection, take out a road sign, hit the medium, The other guy with me, he stays with him. So I finally get straightened out. Well, now I'm behind him a pretty good ways. And I get up there to a driveway, and I can see a cloud of dust, and I stop, and I can see just the back corner of the other, my partner's vehicle behind the house. So I swing around, I get out, and I can hear him yelling commands at this guy. This guy was trying to get in the back of this house. Little old lady lived there by herself. By the grace of God, he wasn't able to get in. And we got up there and tackled him and got him arrested. This guy had escaped or walked off from a work crew, I think in Davidson County, and hit an old man over the head and stole his truck, and that was him coming down the interstate. I had no idea any of that. It was the way he looked when he came through, his failure to make eye contact, his 10 and 2 on the steering wheel, just everything indicated that this guy needed to be looked at, and wound up being an escaped prisoner that had assaulted an old man and stole his truck.
That's a good day. That's a good day.
We about out of time?
Yep, you got about a minute left.
About a minute. So not next week,
The week after.
Week after next.
You have a whole week and a half to plan.
we are going to plan the best show, not that this was a bad show, but we're gonna plan the best show that we've had in a while. We're gonna come up with a great guest, a great topic, and it's gonna be awesome. You ever
I
have
think
a
it
good
should
feeling?
be
You ever have a
old
good feeling?
police stories.
I got a good feeling.
Those are my favorites.
The old police stories.
Oh mercy.
I got like a trillion of them.
I do too, but
My
I probably,
problem is I'll start telling the same one over in the same show.
Oh no.
well, so far I think you're pretty good. I don't think you've
No,
told-
you haven't
I
repeated
don't think you've
anything.
repeated one. I thought
And
you
I've
were
been
fixing
present
to.
for every show.
Yeah, I thought
Well,
you
if
was
I
fixing
do,
to.
we need a like a.
I'll
an
just throw something
We
at
need an
you.
undercover word, like just say Birmingham or something, and I'll know that I'm telling a story that I've already told, and I need to shut up.
But Maddie, you can help too. You can help find a good guest to bring
I've
on.
given him a list.
That's like
But I mean,
it's 8 months old.
You've only used like 5 people off of that list.
Well, it's
There was a whole
it's
page.
2024. We need a new list.
Okay, we'll get a new list.
All right. Well, I gotta go down the road,
I've got to go back to court.
say hi to some people.
All right, everybody say bye.
All right. See you. Bye.